I'm here with Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Peter, let's get right into it because we have a lot to discuss. Trump has seemed to change his demeanor and his outlook towards Iran. Last week, he pulled back. It seemed that he was walking it back. The other day, though, he kind of changed direction and he sent out these 3 tweets. I'm going to read you these 3 tweets, and you can try to break down what's going on if you can. God knows everyone's
if
trying.
It's possible.
Yeah. Okay. So here are his tweets, Peter. Iran leadership doesn't understand the words nice or compassion. They never have. Sadly, the thing they do understand is strength and power. And the USA is by far the most powerful military force in the world. With $1.5 trillion invested over the last 2 years alone, the wonderful Iranian people are suffering, and for no reason at all. Their leadership spends all of its money on terror and little on anything else. The U.S. has not forgotten Iran's use of IEDs and EFPs bombs, which killed 2,000 Americans and wounded many more. Iran's very ignorant and insulting statement put out today only shows that they do not understand reality. Any attack by Iran on anything American will be met with great and overwhelming force. In some areas, overwhelming will mean obliteration. No more John Kerry and Obama. Peter Lavelle, what do you make of these tweets?
Isn't it really amazing he's describing the neocons and their ideology? That is a mirrored comment, exactly what the people around him. He's talking about, what was the first thing? They're not compassionate?
They're not compassionate, yes.
Yeah.
They don't understand exactly the words nice or compassion.
That's exactly what the neocons are, aren't they? It's remarkable. It's remarkable that he's actually talking about the perpetrators of all of this. Trump, I commend the president from stepping back from the abyss, but I do criticize him for allowing himself to go to the abyss. And this is what is very ironic and very difficult to unpack here, because what is going to happen is that this situation is not going to go away anytime soon. And we have to point out to our viewers here something that's very important and very obvious, but the lamestream media, the low-octane thinkers that are on cable will not tell you, is that Iran believes it is already at war with the United States because of these crippling sanctions, maximum pressure. This is, in their mind, they are on a war footing, and they have the right to self-defense. Now, we all know that Iran is not going to start a war with the United States. It won't. But it will react to what the United States is doing to it asymmetrically. And this is going to be very hard to pin down. Something happens in Iraq, another tanker. There could be so many different things that are going on. And of course, John Bolton and Mike Pompeo are going to blame Iran. And if Iran does or doesn't do something, Iran is the default position for blame. That's what makes it very dangerous. So what's going to happen, or what is happening between now and the election next year, is that Donald Trump is going to have to weave. And it's going to get more and more difficult for him, because it is abundantly clear is that he does not want to lose the anti-war or pro-peace segment of the electorate to the Democrats. He doesn't want to do that. He's not going to give up on them. And so he has allowed himself, again, I scold him for letting him get into this situation. Why Pompeo and Bolton are still there is a mystery. And it's a mistake.
Yeah.
But Trump now is going to have to deal with this for the next 18 months or so to make sure that he doesn't get trapped into a situation that he really doesn't want, go down a path where he doesn't really want to go to. I genuinely believe that he doesn't want to start any wars. I genuinely believe that. And I've said repeatedly here and on CrossTalk, what Trump has done is as a substitute for that, or a easy fix, is to allow these neocons around him. He's given them basically an outsourced position to do, flip Venezuela if you can do it, but don't use any troops. Do whatever you want to Iran, but I don't want to go to war. I think the most egregious one, of course, is that the negotiations with North Korea has ended up in such a frozen state, which did not have to happen. Okay, and I think Trump really broods about that. because he saw an opening. And it was a genuine opening, and it was very difficult. All of us knew all of the risks involved. We all talked about having caution with the outcome, but we wanted to see a process move forward. And his own national security advisors stymied it. And I think that Trump feels that he lost an opportunity. Who knows? If they could have gone incrementally over the last few months, that creates momentum. That creates confidence building. And that's what this is all about. But what's going to happen now is that Trump is going to probably think less about a war with Iran than the war inside his own White House. That's what he's going to have to balance out. Now, what's really interesting here is that we know for sure that Trump is getting outside counsel, and I'm pretty sure he's soliciting it. Rand Paul, of course, and he's even spoken in so many words as that Rand Paul, the Kentucky senator, is the counterweight to the neocon thugs that he surrounds himself with, and remarkably, our favorite, Tucker Carlson. And you and I talk about it quite often. I mean, there was a show at the end of last 2 days. It was Friday, Thursday and Friday. That Tucker came out swinging, and I mean, wow! I mean, the man has an amazing amount of courage when everybody else was getting in line and reading from the script. Tucker Carlson did not, and also I know you and Alexander McCurris did a video on it. I mean, Sean Hannity lost his mind. I was really kind of embarrassed for him. And I think that's probably why he didn't show up on Friday. Okay, see, this whole gambit of regime change in Iran is sucking in everybody. Yeah. Okay, and it's and there are obvious winners and losers. I mean, we live in the age of the internet, still semi-free. Everything you say is going to be remembered. Okay, and it's already patently clear to me who's on the right side of history. And I think Trump really wants to keep that balance. Okay, he wants to show he's in charge, but at the same time, there's so many pressures from the deep state because war is profitable for these people. Okay, and this neocon foreign policy, it's almost a semi-religion. Okay, and it's impossible for them to be confronted with evidence that is contrary to their beliefs. That's what it makes it so dogmatic. Trump is anything but dogmatic. Okay, I mean, as you read in those tweets. Okay, he's trying to find the right footing. Okay, because he's a very gregarious person. He doesn't like to be called a coward. He doesn't want to be called weak. We know that gets on his nerves, but he has to appreciate the words pragmatism more, okay, and self-preservation, because that's what it's really all about, self-preservation. And if he cannot maintain this mantle of being anti-war / pro-peace, he's going to lose that segment of the electorate to somebody else. And it could be someone like Elizabeth Warren, Bernie. These people that are interested in the anti-war, pro-peace agenda are passionate, and they will vote. This is not a bread and butter, small potatoes issue. This is something that is really, really meaningful for hundreds of thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands of people made the difference in 2016, and Trump is painfully aware of that.
Yeah, Peter, I'm going to throw up a screenshot of Ben Shapiro's video that he did when Ben Shapiro was actually pushing for war. He was pushing for Trump to retaliate with a disproportionate force, and he was trying to make the argument. And as our viewers see this screenshot, they'll see the video got a lot more dislikes than likes. And the comments were just bashing Shapiro for his stance. So I think you make a great point that his base, that voted for him, the non-interventionist base, is very passionate about this.
Passionate. Yep. And I believe, I don't have the definitive evidence, but I believe through a lot of the reading I've done on the election of 2016 is that it was soldiers in uniform and relatives that have people in the service that they voted on that issue in the most critical congressional districts. And this is something that And many of these people, again, I don't have the hard evidence, but I'm looking at the evidence that I have come across is that this is an issue for them to vote or not to vote. This is an issue for people to vote with their conscience, and they may flip the party and go with the Democrat if the right Democrat says it. Okay,
absolutely.
This is, I think, whatever the true story is, the 10 minutes to spare story, and all of that. Irrespective of that, at the end of the day, when Trump had to make a decision, he decided self-preservation and re-election. And he knows, being around these people, that these people are just fanatics. They're fanatics, and they don't care about his presidency. They don't care about his agenda. And that's why I think he had to say, I have to save myself. I can't rely on these people because these people don't have my back.
Yeah, but now with this tweet, it's like he's boxing. It's like he saved himself.
Yeah,
and now he sends this tweet and he boxes himself right back in because I read it and I say, even the smallest little thing to happen, like you said, something that happened in Iraq, in Syria, another tanker, it's like he has to do something now.
And that's why I said he's going to have to weave. He's going to have to weave. And it's going to be, and it's very difficult because if this had been 2 weeks before the election, his weaving, he could get away with it. Right. 18 months out, that's going to be a real, very difficult path for him to travel. Unless he says to John Bolton, thank you for your service, and he pulls in someone like Rand Paul.
Right.
All right. Which is, I believe, he believes in the national interest. I believe that. Okay. And and people like Rand Paul, and he's one of my political heroes, and that's very rare. I have very few political heroes. He has the fortitude and the honesty to understand that war is not in America's interests. Okay, I suppose Rand Paul doesn't have a lot of shares in the arms corporations. All right, so it's going to be tricky, and we're going to be watching it. But I'm pretty sure, I'm convinced I'm right that this is the strategy he's going to have to take. He'll make it a whole lot easier on himself if he replaces these people. And then the weaving will become wider instead of tighter.
Yeah. Let me put up another quick video, Peter, because I want your take on it, and we'll end it on this. It's where Trump actually acknowledges that John Bolton is a hawk. He even says John Bolton wants to go to war with everybody, but he says he also has doves in his administration. So let me put up a video real quickly of that, and then you can comment on it.
Do you feel like you were being pushed into military action against Iran by any of your advisors?
I have two groups of people. I have doves and I have hawks.
Yeah, you have some serious hawks.
I have some hawks. Yeah, John Bolton is absolutely a hawk. It's up to him. He'd take on the whole world at one time, okay? But that doesn't matter because I want both sides. Some people said, why did you put, I was against going into Iraq for years and years. And before it ever happened, I was against going into Iraq. And some people said, oh, I don't know. I was totally against. I was a private citizen. It never made sense to me. I was against going into the Middle East. Chuck, we've spent $7 trillion in the Middle East right now.
Well, exactly. And this is a transparency of on an unprecedented level. I mean, we all know the presidents are under pressure to appease and to cajole and all of that. But he's being honest. This first time since Dwight D. Eisenhower, really talking about how it works and his position in it all. And this machine, it's more powerful than people in offices, and it's how the office and individuals and the man in the Oval Office has to deal with it. It can't. It's difficult. It's nearly impossible to control. It's how you manage it. All right, that's how you manage it. And so this is what Trump is facing. The only difference here is that he's being really honest about it. About what challenges he faces as president.
Honesty, but it's scary as well because here you have him saying, I've got this guy that wants to go to war with everybody in my administration.
I don't want to just maybe end on Ben Shapiro. I think this is Ben Shapiro's his incredible blind spot. It's because it's all about Israel for him. That's how American foreign policy is all about Israel. That's the prism that he sees American foreign policy. And I'll probably get a lot of negative comments for saying this. I think he's a very good conservative when it comes to social issues. He's a good conservative and he's smart.
Like domestic American
domestic
issues,
stuff. Yeah. And I think he's brilliantly smart and he's very good at debate. But when he goes into foreign policy, he's blinded by his allegiance to Israel, and everything in foreign policy it's about Israel for him, and I think that hurts him because he's a smart guy and he should know better. All right, so it's these things. Trump brings the blind spots out in everybody that wants a certain narrative. It's really quite amazing what this one man can do, getting in your head. All right, so and also. And this is to conservatives that are watching this right now. To be a good conservative is to believe in the national interest and to believe in the interests of the United States first and foremost, and not of other countries. Okay, the United States gives money to Israel so it can build its walls, but it won't build a wall for its own self-defense on the southern border. Think about that. Okay, no good conservative will say we're going to protect other countries' sovereignty, but not our own. Then you're not a conservative.
It's an excellent point. Wouldn't you say, Peter, that Trump also has a blind spot for when it comes to Iran and when it comes to Israel, or no?
I think the blind spot vis-a-vis Israel for Trump is his donor base. I think that's his weakness. Okay, I don't. I think Trump kind of it's kind of almost blasé his attitude towards Iran. I mean, I remember 1979. I remember the revolution. I remember the hostage crisis, and the American people have been fed anti-Iran sentiment for ever since then. Okay, and I don't think Donald Trump, being a real estate developer in New York, it was really delved into the nuances of Iranian foreign policy. Okay, I'm trying to be charitable here, but I just think he kind of gets along by going along when it comes to Iran. The only difference is that he is the one that's going to make the decisions about war and peace and his self-preservation. That's the difference. I mean, all these other people on Twitter can do whatever they want, and what are the consequences? Not much. If you're anti-Iran, well, you're always in a winning position because that's where they're going to go. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't really participate in it. Okay, this heckler's veto on Twitter is something that I just don't have any time for. Okay, so I don't think that Trump has any fire in his belly when it comes to Iran. But I mean, if you're surrounded by advisors that constantly beat the drums of war about Iran, I mean, and not surprising, it maybe kind of rubs off. All right, and that's why Rand Paul and Pat Buchanan, great analysis. Pat Buchanan hits it out of the park every single time when it comes to foreign policy, every single time. And I suggest our viewers take a look at his corpus of work because it's brilliant. And he's giving good counsel to the president. So we know that Trump is going for outside counsel, and that means he is aware of the threats that he has surrounded himself with.
That's an excellent point. It does show that he is looking outside of his administration. Something in his gut is telling him, don't do it.
Yeah.
You got to listen to his gut.
And of course, he because he has a huge ego and he thinks a great deal of himself, he doesn't want people to say President Bolton, Trump. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want this to be Trump's foreign policy being overshadowed by his national security advisor, someone that is not elected by the American people, by the way, a non-elected official determining the country's foreign policy. I think that gets believe me, when Trump's in the room, he wants all eyes on him, not someone else.
Excellent points, Peter. I just wish he wouldn't send tweets like this. I mean, it just pushes. It's one step forward, two steps back.
It's the weaving. Yeah. It's the weaving.
All right,
and
Peter,
it's dangerous. It's a minefield.
It is a minefield, especially when you have Bolton and Pompeo there. All right, Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on that subscribe button, click the notifications, hit that like button. Please hit that like and share the channel with everybody you know. You can get a copy of this video in audio format as well. Go to SoundCloud and iTunes. Also follow us on Instagram, @theduran_com. Go to our website, theduran.com. Please donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, and now Subscribestar as well. The links are in the description box down below. And, of course, go to the Duran shop. Peter, when you wear Duran shirts around Moscow in the summertime, all the ladies...
Babe magnet. The babe magnet.
That's right. You walk up and down Arbat Street, and it's chaos. So pick up a Duran shirt, guys. It really helps us out a lot. Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Thank you very much for a great analysis. Trying to get inside of Trump's head. If anyone can do it, Peter Lavelle can. All right, guys. Take care. Till next time.